Hollie's Hotspurs, welcome back. Talking Tottenham every week, no better place to be sat. If it's a win, lose, draw, we'll be here for a chat. Best believe we tackle topics like Romero at the back. Young Min Son, what can go wrong when he's on form? It's a dream come true, so sit back, relax and vibe with us. Special guests every time here to discuss. Bring your passion, come along for the ride, and don't forget to subscribe, cause...
Hello, and welcome to another episode of Hollie's Hotspurs Live. Apologies, it's been a little while since I've done one of these, but I'm so excited to obviously talk about a win against Leeds and have these two fabulous guests on. So first of all, it's amazing to have you back on, George. How are you, my friend?
Yeah, very good, thank you. How are you doing?
Yeah, not bad. Like I said before we came on air, I'm a little bit behind with the whole Game of Thrones hype, but I'm slowly getting there. So I do apologise to everybody that we're a little bit late. That was my doing. But it's great to have you back on, George. And Mr. Black making his first ever debut on the show. How are you, buddy?
Yeah, not bad, thank you. Not bad at all. Happy about the result on the weekend. It was a good day.
It was a good day, definitely. And we're going to dissect that, obviously, and more in tonight's show. But welcome to everybody that's tuning in, that's going to rewatch this back, etc., etc. It's great to have you all on board. But without further ado, let's kind of dive straight into it. Because, George, obviously, it's finally a win before international breaks. With that and everything else, what was your overall thoughts on the game?
Yeah, that's pretty. I think it's safe to say that most people were probably dreading it. One, because Leeds away, everyone knows it's tough. They said it before. What is it? 33 games or something. They've been unbeaten over a year at home. So the fact that paired that with the fact it was before an international break, I think that just spelt doom and gloom for everyone. So to actually come out with a win, I think is nothing but incredible, to be honest with you. So in that sense, I thought fantastic. I didn't manage to catch the game live because I was doing a sort of run, the half a marathon basically. So trying to kill myself instead of watching Spurs killing myself in that sense. So no, but I managed to watch it all back, and I think, do you know what? I've seen some fair bit improvements in terms of going forward a bit. We obviously saw the classic Vicario, like, shoved to their forward, parried to their forward without properly catching it or saving it, which can be very frustrating. But I thought in general it seemed pretty good. I mean, you guys that saw the whole thing live probably would tell me a bit better, but I can't not be happy with a win away from home against Leeds before an international break. So overall, I'm pretty content with.
Yeah, we will definitely get into the Vicario business a little bit later, because I do want to dissect it in a bit of detail, because I think it needs to be mentioned. But Mr. Black as well, are you kind of on the same kind of premise as George? Obviously, a win's a win, great before international break, and to go away.
Yeah, I mean, I wasn't overly impressed with the performance in terms of it being a newly promoted side, but like you said, when you consider the fact that it's before international break, they haven't lost it at home in however long. I mean, it's the sort of game that you think last season, especially the amount of league games we lost last season, to go there, not play our best football, but still come out with a result, you can't complain too much.
Yeah, I'll have myself on mute there. We're going well already tonight. But no, I think you make some valid points. And it kind of leads on to, because obviously we got the starting 11 out, George. And there was a few changes from that Bodo game. Obviously, we had Richie out with Tellin, and then Odegaard also in. I mean, for you, there's a lot of talk, obviously, that combination doesn't necessarily click so much. Were you kind of glad Tell was put in after Richie's kind of non-existent performance against Bodo in the week?
Do you know what? I was actually quite surprised to see that he was the one that was starting, because I know that Richie's not been in great form, but it doesn't seem like, as things stand, that Frank has like a crazy amount of confidence in Tell. I mean, clearly after the game, when he was praising him, he clearly does now, but going into the match, it didn't seem like he did. So to see him start in a Premier League game, I, to be honest, truthfully, expected to see Frank save him for like the cup games and things like that, and maybe some of the Champions League games that are deemed easier, like the sort of lesser teams at home. But no, it was nice to see him actually start him ahead, and it probably deserved, given the fact that Richie's been quite poor the last few games. I'll say, like, nothing seems to stick when the ball goes up to him, and I think getting that goal was obviously a massive confidence booster for Tell specifically. In terms of Odegaard, I really like the look of Odegaard and a doggy sort of link up on the left, and as much as I think Spence has been brilliant, like fantastic, especially when it comes to the defensive side of things.
Oh,
We had a little freeze.
Oh, he's back.
Oh,
He's
did I
back.
freeze? I'm back. Oh, sorry. Basically, I feel like Spence, when we're trying to build up with him on the left, is sometimes a bit difficult purely because he's right-footed. It just makes it that little bit one-dimensional. Whereas Udogie being naturally, well, primarily a left wing back when we signed him, I think going forward he offers that little bit more. So I thought him and Odobert were linking up pretty well on that left side, which is nice.
That's the thing. I think for me, I don't know how you kind of feel, Mr. Black, but with Odegaard, I kind of like the fact that he's got that bit about him where he wants to take his player on. I feel with him and Kudus on either side, we've actually got that now in like kind of traditional wingers. I would kind of both explain them as.
Yeah, I mean, I was quite impressed with him up against Leeds. I've been relatively impressed with him since he's come to the club. I mean, don't get me wrong, I know he's not had some of the best games, but I think the criticism that he gets is quite harsh. I think it comes from I don't know, I feel like a bit more of a frustration with our wingers last season more than him like individually. But I do agree with what you're saying. I think him and Udogie on the left is a cracking combo, and I'd probably be looking to put Jed Spence, give him a start over Pedro Porro, given how he's played in some of the games. Maybe controversial, but I think Spence is great. Give him and Udogie a dig, and I'd be interested to see how they play together.
I'm actually going to stay with you, Mr. Black, because I do feel sometimes Porro does let us down defensively. And I feel Spence definitely has that a bit more in his locker. I think first half, Pedro Porro, you could kind of see those signs with Okofor absolutely rinsing him down that side defensively. And then he kind of turned up the second half. So I think your shout, and obviously having Spence in there is maybe something that we could try further down the line. Or do you think Frank would give that a go?
I would definitely give Spence a dig at right back. The way I sort of view it is Destiny Udogie and Pedro Porro are both brought in as wing backs for a 5-back system. I feel like Udogie's been able to adapt into a 4-back and still be defensively sound. Like, yeah, there's better, defensively, but he's good enough defensively. Pedro Porro not so. Pedro Porro is seemingly a wing back, and you even see people saying, "Oh, we'll play him right wing if he can't defend." He's meant to be a right back. You shouldn't be saying his best position's right wing when he's meant to be a defender. I think that says everything you need to know about his defensive capabilities. And when Spence is at the start of the season that he has, give him a dig, see how it goes. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work, but it'd be silly not to try it.
No, it's a good shout. It'd be interesting to see whether Frank kind of does that going forward. I think it's a good shout. But George, I know we've touched on potentially players having a bit of a mare in the first half. We know Vicario mare later on in the game did lead to a goal, but right from the off, I think it was like 7 minutes in, George. I think Rodon has an effort where he heads the ball onto the post.
Yeah, I don't know.
Vicario's caught in
To be
no
honest.
man's land.
Yeah, it's annoying. Okay, Vicario for me, it's really frustrating because there are some games I feel like he actually saves us and pulls off some incredible saves. But I think the issue that separates him from being a top goalkeeper with the rest of the league, whether that's a Raya, whether that's a, I don't know, Alisson, for example, he doesn't have the consistency because there will always be, maybe it's every other game or maybe every third game, he always seems to try and come out and collect the ball but completely misjudges it like he did for that Rodon effort. I don't know where he thought the ball was going for him to come and try and collect it from where it was. Or he does what he did for the goal and sort of spill it towards their forwards, where I feel like in a lot of instances, other goalkeepers probably, to be honest, could either catch it or they actually parry it fully off, maybe for a corner or closer to the corner flag at least. So I don't know. It's his consistency for me that lets him down, and I just long term, can we have a number one that misjudges so many balls into the box when we know set pieces are going to be a massive thing for every club now, not just us?
And I think that's the worrying thing. I think I called it, Mr. Black, in terms of maybe Kingsley should have had a go in the week, given Vicario a rest, and then maybe played Vicario against Leeds, or maybe done it the other way around. Because I feel like Kingsley is a very decent goalkeeper, and I know they both have very different attributes, but we can't let Vicario keep making these same mistakes, because that goal that we conceded is pretty much a carbon copy of one we've already seen this season.
Yeah.
Like this debate? Oh, sorry.
Yeah, sorry. No, I mean, what I don't understand about it is Kinski was brought in as competition. He wasn't brought in as a out and out number two. Vicario's made enough mistakes over a long enough period of time in my opinion, for us to be thinking this is not a long term goalkeeper. He, like you say, constantly misjudges crosses, constantly pushes shots back into the opposition instead of just catching it or getting a decent bit of push on it. And I just find him frustrating. Like you say, he's a really good shot stopper, but if you're not consistent, that's what you need from a goalkeeper. I say you're not going to win things with an inconsistent keeper. I suppose we did, but imagine Van der Ven didn't make that goal line clearance in the Europa League final. He had been hounded out of the club. If that went in and then we lost that Europa League final, he would have been hounded out of the club by all of the fans for dropping that ball.
No, and it's a great shout. And I think that's the thing. I think where we've kind of got that luxury of having a player like Kingsley that we can still kind of mould and see where he develops, it's a good thing, so to speak. I do hope that Vicario does pull it around, because George, towards the end of the game, we are jumping ahead a little bit, but towards the end of the game, he does make a few crucial saves when you think, wow, how has he managed to do that?
And that's exactly what I mean. Like, he is so capable of pulling off some incredible saves. And like I said before, I think he's saved us in games, or even like the Bournemouth 1-0, for example. I know we lost anyway, but that game could have easily have been 4-5-6 without him in goal. So there is really good elements to his game, but the fact that there's just certain parts to it, like the collecting the ball and whatnot, that he can't maybe seem to get right on a consistent basis, does cost us in the long run. I mean, I know it's only a minor thing, but everyone's bringing up the fact that Van der Ven's now taking goal kicks for long balls isn't great, is it? Yeah, it's a tough one, because I think the problem is he is a leader in the dressing room. That's without a doubt a fact. So if you're gonna drop him completely, I think that kind of will cause issues, maybe some tension. So maybe it's going to have to be a case where, if Thomas Frank doesn't see Vicario as like the future number one, he needs to gradually phase him out. It can't just be like I remember in the summer everyone was like, no, it's just got to be Kinski number one from the get-go, and I just don't think that was realistic, to be honest. But yeah, it's a weird one. Like you say, he just comes out of nowhere and pulls off worldy saves, but then in other instances you feel like he's cost us a moment that could have ended up potentially losing us the game, depending on obviously who we're up against.
I think that's the thing as well, because obviously it did come out in the week, Mr. Black, that obviously he is part of that leadership team. And for me, it did strike me a bit bizarre. But then I suppose as fans, we don't always see what goes on in the dressing room. For you, is that probably a reason, like George has kind of alluded to, that Vicario is that number one on the sheet at the moment, regardless of how many mistakes he's kind of making?
Yeah, I mean, I suppose it makes sense, but I think from the manager's perspective, how many mistakes can a goalkeeper continue to make before you, like, leadership group or not, you can't continue to play somebody who's going to continue to make those mistakes. Like, Kinski was brought in, several reports confirmed, brought into the competition, not an out and out number two. What I'm not getting, why Vicario is continuing to start when Kinski's right there. Is it the leadership group? I don't know, but I don't see him putting leadership group over performances. I feel like that would be quite a risk as a manager.
No, definitely. And I think that's the thing. I think hopefully we will maybe see Kingsley play in a Champions League game just to mix things up. But right now, like I say, he is going to be the man that's going to be in the sticks, as we've seen time and time again. But obviously, after that kind of whole kerfuffle, things did slowly manage to settle, because George, in the 25th minute, we finally see Tell get on the score sheet. And to be honest with you, I'm so happy for him, because I think he needed that bit of confidence boost.
Yeah, definitely. And I feel like I've been one of the few that have been with the Tell propaganda and hoping that he gets some flowers and maybe even just better performances, because I do think there is a player in there personally. But I just never really, in my opinion, saw his future as a number 9. I don't know if he's, well, at least not in this league. I see him more as like either a second striker or a left winger. But obviously, it's tough when we've got Odebear fighting for a place there, Johnson fighting for a place there. Even Xavi Simons was there at the beginning when he came in, so he couldn't really get a chance there, and not in the Champions League squad. That strike, okay, as much as it took a deflection to go in, for me it was how quickly he was able to get the shot off once he sort of got the ball away from the defender. And I think those sort of areas where he's not got necessarily as much time to think, or maybe it's on the edge of the area or outside the box, I think his shooting is brilliant. We saw against, what game was it where we had that 1v1 from so far out? Like, he had so much time to score and he completely fluffed it. I think if you've given, it's almost like that Werner gene of, if you give him too much time, they struggle. But I think with him and his shooting ability is actually pretty decent. I think he just needs that confidence booster, which hopefully that goal has given him. And with Richarlison's forms dipping as well, surely that's him keeping an eye on the score sheet, saying, well, hold on, Solanke's out, Colin Mawani's out, Richie's not playing well. This is my opportunity now to sort of stake a claim in this side and hopefully get a run of a few games. And I think Frank so far has proven if you're playing well, he'll keep you in the side. He did that with Sarr at the beginning. Then Bergvall started having great performances, and he started playing back-to-back matches. So as far as I can tell, potentially Tell starts the next game as well because of the back of that performance and getting the goal. So hopefully he can keep on this form, because I do think there's a player in there. I just think he needs a bit of consistency.
Yeah, and I think that's the biggest thing, especially like you say, when you've got players like Solanke and Richie at the moment not really doing what we all thought he was going to do when he lit everything up at the start of the season. Mr. Blackett's kind of telltale that I keep saying Tell, and it sounds weird now, but you keep saying that Tell could be potentially that player, because he did nearly get a brace as well. Obviously, that header he did as well that hit that hit the bar. So for you, Mr. Black, is Tell someone that you hope? Not saying that you don't hope, but is Tell going to be that player that hopefully will take the scruff of the neck and be like, I am the only fit kind of forward that's on form, so to speak? Or do you think scoring a goal against Leeds, as awful as it sounds, is only necessarily Leeds in that kind of newly promoted side?
Someone's definitely going to clip that it's only Leeds and use that against you at some point.
Oh, yeah.
I like Tell. I think you can tell, brilliant, yeah, that he is there's a player in there. We've seen it in some of his clips, and you can tell that he's a really passionate player as well, like, especially in our Europa League games, the way that he come over to all of the players, the fans after the games, and being left out of the Champions League squad, harsh. But I think given he's 19, 20, that's the sort of thing that can make or break a player's confidence. And I think he's been given his opportunity. He's taken it, like you say, Kolo Muani's out, Solanke's out. This is his opportunity. And I think to go and get a goal and play pretty well against Leeds, to say the least, tells you a lot about his mentality and tells you a lot about his quality as well. I think he's great. I think he gets a lot of hate for, I understand the reasons, but way too much hate for what those reasons are.
I think I think that's a great point about the Champions League thing as well. I think for me personally, when that was announced, obviously I would have preferred him to be in the squad, but I think he's got the mentality to handle not being put in the squad more than someone like Odebear. I felt like if Odebear was left out, it could potentially not derail him, but I think it would hurt his confidence a lot more, because to me, and I know that's been some of the frustration with a lot of fans of Odebear, sometimes he comes across as too shy on the pitch when we know he's got the ability to take on a man, show it a bit more, and maybe get an assist or something like that. He just strikes me as someone that might have been hurt a bit more by being left out, whereas Tell, like exactly what you're saying there about Tell coming over to the fans. I think Fulham away was maybe his third game, and he was the only one that came over to the fans to talk to them. And then throughout the Europa League campaign, like you said, I think he's just got that, by being at Bayern Munich and being at that high level from such a young age, he's got that mentality already to handle I guess tough situations and then come out on top of it.
Like, that's a great shout. Definitely. I think he has got a bright future ahead of him. And like I said, I hope that Frank does obviously see it. I hope he continues to do that while we've got Solanke out, while Richie's not doing the business at the moment. But obviously, I know I said earlier it was only Leeds, but they did have a lot of opportunities. And I'll come to you for this, Mr. Black, because I don't know how Dominic Calvert-Lewin didn't necessarily get on the score sheet yesterday. The other day, sorry.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I wasn't massively impressed with the performance. Like, I was having a look at it statistically. Obviously, I watched the game, had a look back at the highlights, but they outperformed us in every single attacking metric other than the result. So, I mean, I suppose in that sense, what a day. But no, I don't know. Like, the performance was all right. We grinded out the win, but I think if you had to say who deserved it more, I think they definitely outplayed us in most aspects of the pitch. Yeah.
I think that's the thing. I think it's I'm not going to say it's weird being a Spurs fan and us winning things when we shouldn't necessarily be winning things, George. But we spoke heavily last season about this mentality about getting things over the line.
Yeah.
That's exactly what we've kind of done already a lot of games in this season, I would say.
Yeah, definitely. And I think, did I see that we're top of the away table or something like that as well, which I think is almost a little bit unheard of with Spurs, going away from home and winning so many games and doing well there. So I think there definitely has been a mentality shift off of that win, and I've got to thank Ange for that, to be honest with you, because I think we all know we needed that, get that sort of monkey off the back, or whatever the expression is, of being this winless club, and with the fact that it's like a pretty decent sized European trophy as well, I think that's put a lot of confidence in the team. And then what's different as well, and what I liked, is with our recruitment in the summer, we brought in, even though some of them are young, we brought in players that have already had experience at the top and winning things, like Xavi Simons, like Kolo Muani, like João Palhinha. Like these are experienced top players that already have that mentality anyway. so they didn't have to build it themselves. They're just adding to what the current crop of players have already got, and it does seem like, look, even though with like Wolves at home, we definitely should have won that game, or even like Bodo away, you think back because we beat them last year, we should beat them again. Even though in theory we should be winning those games, to show the resilience of losing those matches and coming back and coming away with a result anyway, does go to show just how much the mentality I think has changed at our club. Because I've seen those sort of games in the past completely go away from us, and we just lose our heads, we lose the game, we don't know how to get back into it. So in that sense, I think I've got to applaud the fact that Frank has sort of built on that winning mentality with the players that he's brought in, and obviously the players that had won last year.
Definitely. And I think that's the thing. I think we can only build from that. I mean, the goal did happen in the 34th minute, though. It's that with Okofor, who I must say it was outstanding down that wing, absolutely rinsing everybody down that side. But I know we've spoken already heavily against Vicario, so I won't kind of go over it again. But for you, it was kind of an annoying time for us to concede, wasn't it?
Yeah, I mean, 10 minutes off of the back of going up 10 minutes before half time, you would like to think that we could just see that off till half time and go and build on it. Like I say, got the results in the end, but I don't know if it's harsh on Vicario. He makes the same mistake quite frequently in terms of pushing it straight back out to the attacker, but it was a deflected shot, so I have a degree of sympathy with him. Um, but yeah, I don't know. I'm just happy we got the win with this Leeds game because, like what you were just saying with the mentality, like you think about the Brighton game last year versus Brighton game this year away. Last year collapse, this year go back, get a draw. Weren't the best performance, but you still get the result. And I think that's definitely what Frank's building, and it's it's nice to see as a Spurs fan. It's not what we're used to at all.
I was going to say, normally I'm pulling my hair out every week on this show, so it's actually quite nice to have that kind of not mentality monster, but be able to be here and like, yeah, actually, we didn't capitulate this time, which is quite nice because then, obviously, George, coming to you in the 57th minute, that man Kudus finally gets his first Spurs goal, and I've been wanting him to score for ages, and it's finally clicked. What did you make of Kudus's performance against Leeds and generally his performance this whole season so far?
I've never been more happy to see that stall come out for a player in my life. I'm so happy he's finally got that goal, because I think that was a lot of the chat from West Ham fans when they were trying to claim that they've done us in with the amount that we paid for him. A lot of the chat was, oh yeah, he's going to look flashy, he's going to look great, he'll take on his man, but he's got no end product and this, that, and the other. And look, he's our top assister at the moment. He's finally getting a goal to sort of get that off of him as well, so hopefully he can add more to that. And to be honest, he just looks like our most dangerous player going forward. And to go back to what you're saying about the sort of Spence Porro situation, the problem is with trying Spence on the right is at the moment our plan is Porro long ball to Kudus, just spam that long ball forward and let Kudus do what he does and just either assist or score. So at the moment, I don't know how you can change it because it just seems to be working. Obviously, I would like to see us try and build up in some other ways. But yeah, I think those two especially have built up a really good partnership on that side. And even that Bodo Glimt game last week, towards the end when obviously Kudus came on as well, you just saw that Porro had a bit more confidence in Kudus than he did with Johnson when he was there, and they were sort of linking up well, and that sort of built up towards them playing it off to Gray, who put it in towards the box for the goal. So I think they're linking up well. I think Kudus did a great drive. Even though it took a bit of a deflection, I think it was going in that corner regardless. The goalkeeper seemed completely wrong-footed either way, so it was a nice tidy finish to go in the opposite direction. And yeah, just really happy for him to get his goal, because I think it's a brilliant start, and I think 55 million we've absolutely robbed West Ham.
It's a great feeling, especially to do it against them lot. But Mr. Black, I mean, for you as well, because obviously, like George says, the way he obviously gets the ball from Porro, he uses a bit of strength to obviously get his man off him, drives inside, and then he kind of cuts it near post, doesn't he, to absolutely bamboozle the goalie. For you as well, like to see him finally get a goal, to get the stall out, to get things kind of running, especially what he's doing anyway in Spurs, creating things. What have you kind of made of this signing?
I mean, just some player. Like that's the best way I could describe it. He's unreal. Like say 55 million pounds. I can't believe West Ham fans were sat there going, "Oh, we've robbed you. Like he's not going to get any goals. He's not going to get any assists." They knew nothing. Honestly, he's unbelievable. I mean, I'd say I was getting frustrated with him when he missed that. Like he sent over the bar the chance that Udogie pulled back for him was in the first half. Um, that was frustrating, and I was beginning to get a bit like, oh, this guy needs to get a bloody goal, like just get one on the sheet. And then 20 minutes later he does, and I'm all happy days. So you can't really complain. And like I say, I think he's joint top assister in the league. I might be wrong, but I'm pretty sure I'm right.
I think he is, yeah.
And like I say, for a player with no end product, and he's getting the goal contributions, so they're wrong. It's as simple as that. What a great signing for the money. He looks the nuts.
No, he does look the business. And like I say, just at the moment, George, like we kind of alluded to, we are a bit kind of restricted in how we're creating things. But when you've got a player like Kudus, not saying he needs to do it all, but when you've got an outlet like him, it kind of makes everything else not worry too much, if that makes sense.
Yeah, and I think that's a testament to his strength, like his actual physical strength, because I've never seen a player be crowded around by like three tough defenders as well. And he just seems to brush them off so easily to create the space, whether that is to cross the ball or to shoot or whatever it is. Like, I think his strength is unbelievable. And so I can see why we kind of do it that way. And I think as well, when you look at the rest of the side, like Xavi Simons is obviously clearly still getting used to the league and everything. And I think that was a pretty good performance in the 10 for him. And hopefully we see that as his future. The left wing spot we're clearly not nailing down. I mean, Odebear mostly seems to have it, but we've stuck Xavi Simons there. We've put Johnson there. I'm sure when Colin Mawani's actually fully fit, he'll probably play there sometimes as well. So it's when we haven't got that side sort of locked in, it's good to know that we've got a really, really just top quality player on that right hand side. I do have like little worries that at the moment we're just kind of over relying on it and just hoping that as long as Kudus is on ball and on job, great, we're going to get goals and chances. If for whatever reason he doesn't have a good game, that is when I worry that we might struggle without sorting out the left side. But as things stand for now, I think he's been phenomenal. And I think we just need to let players like Xavi Simons sort of get used to the team, the league, and whatever. And that I think that will come with time.
I'm glad you've mentioned Simons, because obviously the only thing that sticks in my head is that silly little Rabona he did. But I know that everything else he did in that game, Mr. Black, was good. And I think what I'm trying to say is what George is kind of saying. We've got to give him a bit of time to embed himself because we know there's a player there. It was the first time I was really, really excited that we got him through the door. And I think to have someone like Simons to come through the door, you've got to let him have a bit of time to embed.
Yeah, I mean, like I say, with time, you'd hope that his performances will improve. And there's also been this whole thing about him not being played in the 10. Like off the left, he's not as good as he is. I mean, like I say, he was good against Leeds. The Rabona, slightly less impressive to say the least. But no, I like from what I've seen of him, everything that he did at Leipzig. Like I said, I've had a decent watch of everything that he's done. You know that there's a top player in there. We paid the money, and I'm over the moon for it. But give him some more opportunities in the 10. Like he's had one game, a tough game away against Leeds in the 10, and that's really it. Other than that, it's just been sort of like 20-minute cameos where we've changed things about in game. But give him that, you'd like to think he's going to start cooking pretty swiftly.
I mean, the thing is, because he did do that a cute little chip inside the box as well, didn't he, George? And I mean, if Porro didn't
That was
do this
beautiful.
kind of shot, then it would have been a bit nicer.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how poor. To be fair, someone that's actually quite decent at striking the ball, that was quite a poor effort by his standard. But yeah, no, that the vision to because look, it would have been so easy to. I think it was Kudus on the right there with him as well, wasn't it? It would have been so easy just for him to pass off to Kudus in that situation and whatever. So to have the vision to see Porro, making that dart and run and chip it over to create a really good chance, I think that was brilliant. And we're going to see more of that. Like he is, yeah, as much as the Rabona one was not as great, he is a flashy player. Like we're going to see more things like that happen and. I'd like to think more often than not it's going to pull off, and I think that's the sort of thing that we've been missing a lot. We can be so predictable at times. Just go out wide, spam across. Oh, it didn't work, and then you do the same thing over and over again, passing left and right. With Maddison being out and Kulusevski to a certain extent, we don't have that player that just can maybe produce a little bit of magic to create an opening that no one else would have seen. And I think he is a brilliant player for that sort of instance, and you want someone like that in the middle of the pitch. I think as much as he's had great performances on the left in the past for previous clubs, especially in the league that we're in, we need someone in the middle to dictate play and create those through balls, whether that's Tell, Richie, Kudus, whoever it ends up being. I think he'll become that player. So I think it was good showing. Just excited to see him play, to be honest with you. I never thought we would sign someone like that. So yeah, I'm buzzing for hopefully him not to get injured, touch wood, on international duty.
Oh, can you imagine it? No, thank you. Yeah, let's not less said about that the better. But no, I think he is coming on. And like you said, it is a signing that I was like, oh wow, we've actually gone and got this boy. But there's probably one player that I also want to talk about as well, and that is probably Bentancur, because Mr. Black, in that game, he's kind of got caught sleeping a few times that put Leeds in behind. And obviously, he's just got given a new contract. So I guess my kind of question is to you, what have you made of obviously him signing a new contract? What have you made of them this season? And especially in that game as well, just a little bit lapse of concentration.
I'm not surprised that we offered him a new contract, but what I will say is his form's got to improve for it to feel like it was worth doing. When you think about the player that he was under Conte, when he was like borderline our best player before his injury, he was unbelievably good, and just ever since he's got back, he's just not had that about him. Like you say, it feels like he's been lackluster, lazy. I've seen him described as a statue. I've seen people on Twitter saying, why have we offered him a new contract? He's crap, he's rubbish. Like, I don't think he's crap, I don't think he's rubbish. I just think he's extremely average at the moment and has looked a little bit lazy. And when you see him in the midfield pivot with Paulinia, he's just like individually two decent players. I mean, Paulinia, much better. I like Paulinia, I think he's quality. But together, I think when they've played together, it's looked a little bit lackluster.
No, it's a great shout. And I think that's the thing that really frustrated me, because George, Archie Gray, I don't know what that man's got to do to kind of get in the team, but I would have liked to have seen him potentially start against Leeds, because the cameos we've seen him when he's come on for Frank has done really, really well. What do you think that is? Is it purely because, I don't know, Frank's maybe not trusting him, but wants to embed maybe other players in the team, see how it kind of works?
I think, I mean, yeah, those are cameo appearances like in Bodo Glimt when he came on. I thought he was brilliant. Some other games as well. I think maybe it's a case of, especially while it's early on in the season, it seems to be that Frank is more opting for the more sort of experienced players, just to try and get results whilst he's still trying to implement his ideas in the team. And I think the Bentancur Palhinha pivot worked unbelievably well against Man City away, because that's the sort of game you need it in. You need those two more experienced, a bit older players, two relatively defensive players. Well, obviously Palhinha very defensive, but I think Bentancur's a similar sort of profile without being as physically strong, where they just mostly just sit in front of the defence, and then we counter attack with long balls over to the front from the defenders. I think it works in like a Man City away, a Liverpool away, or Arsenal away, whatever it might be. The problem is when it comes to maybe Wolves at home when we had it, or even in this sort of match, we're gonna have more chances to build up and create more chances, and unfortunately, neither of those two are like great expansive passers of the ball. So then what you're doing is you're relying massively on Romero, relying massively on Porro to effectively say, right, give you the ball, you launch it long, and then that's it. And I think that's quite unsustainable. And you see that, like you see that's the sort of issues that Bentancur has. He can almost be a passenger sometimes, because when we do have the ball, realistically, he's more often than not just going to recycle it left and right. And that can be quite frustrating to watch. So I think, to me, I think that those two playing together only really works when you're playing against tough opposition where you know you're not going to have the ball that much. Yeah, I think I'd rather give the opportunities, like you say, to someone like Archie Gray, Lucas Berg, Valsar, where you think they've got a lot more energy, they carry the ball really, really well. In Berval's case, almost acts as a second striker alongside Richie, which I don't think Bentancur could do, for example. So, yeah, it's a bit frustrating his form at the moment.
I think that's the thing for me. Like I say, I just get frustrated because I think the stints Archie Gray's had, I think it would have been perfect for him to be slotted into that midfield against Leeds. But I guess at the end of the day, it was still 3 points to us away from home. And you can't really argue too much, Lee, about that, because obviously we have got international break coming up. And Mr. Black, I know we've spoken heavily against Spence already tonight and how good he is. But to get called up again in international break is just a true credit to what he's been playing like at Tottenham.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I'm not surprised that he's been benched now that Udogi's come back, just because Udogi's always sort of been that like number one left back on the team sheet, and it's always going to be difficult to displace him. But no, he's been immense. Like pretty much every time I've seen him play over the course of the last year, I don't really think I've seen him put in a particularly bad performance at any point, unless my memory is having some gaps. But no, I think he's quality. I think he's consistent. I think he's very good at carrying the ball, getting forward. Defensively, looks relatively stable as well. I think he's a great player, and I can't believe we would going to send him out on loan. Well, we did send him out on loan with a 10 million buy option that didn't get activated. What a blessing.
No, yeah, and it's definitely that. I mean, hindsight's a beautiful thing, but that far down the line now, to have him as a Spurs player, to playing for England as well, is a true credit to what he's been. And kind of, again, that mentality thing. We've got players in the team that are wanting to prove themselves. And I think Spence is definitely that kind of embodiment of that. But George, I know we've already said a little bit in terms of we don't want players to go away and get injured, but we do have a lot of players out on international break. And I think I'd be lying if I said I wasn't worried about what state players might come back after this break.
Yeah, I think this is unfortunately this that period of the year, isn't it, where we've got a international break in September, October, November, and you're just thinking, why do we have so many when the season's only just started? And more often than not, injuries are just gonna happen. It happens across the league, whether that's for us or not. Someone is bound to get injured, and you're just sitting there praying that I don't know if like Van der Ven's playing for the Netherlands. You're thinking, oh God, please play centre back or something. Don't do anything too drastic. Next thing you know, he was playing against. Who was he playing against? Where he scored a goal. He's like playing basically left wing, pretty much for the Netherlands. The way he was playing there, and I was just so worried his hammies were going to go. Thankfully not. So yeah, it's always a bit of a worry. I think it kind of. It's a double-edged sword in a way, because you want them to be able to play in the best, in like with the tournaments, with the best teams, constantly playing top football, but then you also don't want them to get injured when they're not even playing for you. So yeah, I don't know. I think we're just going to sit here praying, hoping that they have good games, injury-free, so that they just keep their confidence but come back fit and healthy, really. So you can really ask for, to be honest.
Yeah, crossing my fingers, because obviously when we get back, Miss Black, we have got Villa at home. So they found a little bit of form. They are 13th. They found a little bit of form in terms of drawing and winning. So for you, I know that's a little bit further down the line, but for you, how do you feel that one's gonna go in terms of obviously us playing at home, which is good for us, kind of like a benefit?
I'm confident in the sense that I think it's the sort of game that you'd expect us to play well in at home off the back of international break, barring any terrible injuries, which hopefully won't happen. I mean, Villa's always a difficult one to predict. I think we've only won 3 of our last 8 games against them. But the 3 that we have won, we've scored 4 goals in all 3 of them. So, like it's sort of very, very up and down whenever we play Aston Villa. But like I said, I think there's been a little bit more stability and a little bit more consistency under Frank. I'd like to think that we'd get a result. They've won their last 4, but when you look at the raw talent on paper, I think we've got a slightly better team at home. And yeah, you'd like to think just grind out a 2-1 win. Might not be the prettiest, but hopefully we'll get the job done.
Yeah, I think that's what I'm kind of thinking as well. I mean, for you, George, too, like obviously we've spoken a lot about mentality, etc., tonight. But for you, is it just get the job done and get out of there sort of thing?
Yeah, pretty much. Like you say, is echo pretty much the same things. Like you said, they found a good bit of form recently. Started off horrendously at the start of the season. They couldn't buy a goal to save their lives, but I think they've won 4 on the bounce now or something like that, which is pretty decent. They've still managed to concede in most of those games, so you'd like to think that we can still get at them. And exactly like you said, their home is much better, because I feel like going away there, it's just I don't know. Sometimes you think we can come away with something, other times it's been a nightmare. So, yeah, I'm relatively confident with it being at home and how they started the season, but it's resting on the fact that we need Romero to come back fit from Argentina. We need Palinha to stay fit, because obviously he's been immense for us. So as long as those things happen, I think we've got a really good chance. And I guess it's also then up to what happens with Richarlison, Tell, or whoever maybe might be back from, if Colin Wani's back fit, who knows, for the striker position.
Yeah, it is going to be an intense couple of weeks, because then obviously straight after that, I think it's like a couple of days later, Miss Black, we play Monaco. And I know that obviously we haven't touched heavily on Bodo, but I just don't think I want to relive it again. But for you and our Champions League kind of run at the minute, I guess it's a kind of the same sort of feeling. Get it done, get out there.
Yeah, I mean, Monaco are 5th in the French league at the moment. Look, on paper, we should win. Objectively, our team is better than them, but football's not as simple as that. I think it's going to be a very, very difficult place to go away. I mean, we've worked out with Bodo. We should be thrashing Bodo. We thrashed them twice last season. But yeah, I think we should just get a result. Like, our team is better. I think Frank's a good manager. I think we've spoken so much about mentality over the last 40 minutes. And I think it's quite an important game, because we've got a few tough ones coming up in the Champions League as well. So I think it's one that we really do need to get a win to sort of get ourselves into those higher positions in the league table in the UCL.
Yeah, and again, that kind of confidence. I know we've spoken about obviously Tell having confidence now, Odobert getting a bit of confidence, but George, for you, kind of echoing what Mr. Black said, it's one of those games that's just to tick off. So then when we play, get progressively further into this competition in terms of the league kind of table, we don't really necessarily have to worry too much about dropping points against teams before us, if that makes sense.
Yeah, definitely. And I think someone worked it out that basically 4 wins almost guarantees you going through. Obviously, you want to be in the top 8, so you're going to need more than that. But I think, like you said, because our fixtures at the start of this sort of league phase have been pretty good, we need to get these wins while we can and sort of just grind it out whatever way possible. Because then next thing you know, you've got PSG away, which as much as we had a brilliant 80 minutes against them, they didn't have a pre-season. They're going to be a lot more in form. They're going to be up for it a lot more, especially with it being Champions League and little things like that. So I expect that to be an extremely, extremely tough game, and we'd be lucky to come away with anything. Whereas this game, like you say, it's going to be tough regardless, but we just need to find a way to win, get those points on early, and that almost takes the pressure off a little bit later on. And yeah, maybe it is a case that Tell starts against Villa because obviously he's not going to be in the squad, and then you save Richie a bit for the couple of days later, because this whole schedule for the next couple of months is going to be so hectic.
Oh yes, can't wait for it. But no, it will be interesting. Like I say, it's always good to be in Champions League. It's nice to be back. It's just these games are going to start coming thick and fast now, and we've got to try and keep the squad fit as possible. But yes, it's going to be an exciting couple of weeks. It's been lovely tonight to obviously dissect that win against Leeds. I am enjoying Mondays a lot more now, not being so depressed, having sort of like losses each week. So this season's a lot more fun. But
I'm actually watching Match of the Day for once, which is great.
I said that's unheard of. I didn't do any of that last season. I'm not gonna lie. I didn't want to relive it.
No, neither did I.
Twice. But no, it's been excellent tonight to have you both on. So we'll go around the table, say our goodbyes, and where can we find us from. So George, I'll start with you first. Thank you once again. Where can everybody find you doing your thing?
No, yeah, thanks for having me back on. It's always nice to talk about Spurs, especially after a win, and pleasure seeing you guys, and obviously meeting you, Mr. Black, for the first time, I believe. So, yeah, man, it's pretty much George Achille across every platform. Not been as consistent as I'd like to be on posting, but you know what it is. Life just gets in the way. Working full time as well makes it difficult. But yeah, vlogs for away games or most games, and then some sort of tactical analysis in some matches. And yeah, that's about it, really. Thank you.
No, thank you very much, George. And Mr. Black, it's been great to have you on for the first time. Where can everybody find you doing your thing?
Yeah, I mean, well, thank you for having me on. It's been a pleasure to meet both of you. I just love chatting about Spurs. I mean, it's literally my job, isn't it? Mr. Black Football on TikTok, Instagram, Twitter. It's mainly TikTok. That's where the majority of my following is. I upload every single day on there. But yeah, if you're not already following, feel free. That would be fantastic. And thank you for the shameless advertisement.
No worries. Like I say, thank you both for coming on. It's been good fun. Like I say, the show's only as good as my guests. So thank you very much.
Oh,
Thank
can't
you
forget
as
about the
well.
host as well. Good job.
Wow. Yeah. All I do is click a few buttons and ask a few questions. You guys did the hard work. But no, also thank you as well to everybody that's tuned in. Darren, big yourself up because I know you've been here pretty much from the start. So very much, see, this is what I mean. This is why I can only do like 40 minutes because my brain starts getting mush. Thank you so much again, Darren. And like I say, same place, same time in a couple of weeks' time when we are back from international break. And like we always say, until next time, come on, you Spurs.